Hi, everybody. It's Connie here, and I know it's been quite a while. I'm coming to you today for a specific reason and a request. I met a new friend, a sister widow of our group. She just came on board, introduced herself, and she asked me to do this video. And so I want to do that for her. I want to start out by just saying hi. I'm okay. I'm good. Um, and I'm sorry I haven't been on here in quite a while. I've just been doing life and nothing really to report out of the ordinary or extraordinary or anything. I'm just doing life. And I wanted to do this video for our new friend today. She is, her name is Jerry, and she is not a widow yet. And so she asked me to come on and talk about this aspect. And I know that many of you are in the same boat as Jerry is right now, that you went through that, meaning that you were caring for your spouse before they passed, and you went through a lot of different emotions and different grief issues. And so I looked up what Jerry was referring to, and I would like to read the definition of this and then read a little bit about it and then talk about it. So if you will allow me just to read that much. And Jerry, this is for you. So thank you for requesting it and for trusting in me. Oh, and I have to say before I start, you all know that I'm not licensed in any way, shape, or form. I've just gone through my own experiences and gone through a lot with you guys as well. And so what I ask at the when you guys watch this video, if you would put in the comments your thoughts and your feelings and some things that you went through and maybe things you wished you had known that maybe you can help Jerry know now to better equip, prepare, get through, and how you maybe could have dealt with things differently. If you know any of that information, share it in the comments because Jerry really needs some help right now. So I'm going to share what I've read about this. And the word that she gave me, and I never knew it before, and so I learned something too. So thank you, Jerry. It's anticipatory grief. And it says grief is the reaction which occurs after a loss, while anticipating grief describes feelings that begin before an unexpected loss. So in other words, grief, which we all feel after the loss of our spouse, is a reaction that we experience with the vacancy, that's the permanentness of losing our spouse. And anticipatory grief describes the feelings that begin before the loss. And basically that means that they're not feeling well, you know they're not doing well, maybe they're extremely sick with a terminal diagnosis and everything in between to go with their health and what you know the imminent reaction is going to be. So in short, anticipatory grief may be conceptualized as the grieving that is done leading up to the actual loss. And that's where Jerry is right now. Her husband is ill, and she knows that he's going to pass, and of course she doesn't know when, but she's going through a lot of emotions and feelings and anxieties, and she doesn't know where to put all of that, and you know, most of us understand that. So I want to read this, and then I'll talk about it, and hopefully you guys will join in and share things in the comments. So, Anticipatory grief is a natural reaction to the possibility of death, and it can be felt before the actual loss. It can affect the person who is dying, as well as their family and loved ones. And some symptoms of that are sadness, anger, loneliness, anxiety or fear about the future, guilt or shame, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, loss of appetite, restlessness or mood swings, physical symptoms like raising blood pressure, trembling, or heart palpitations. Those are symptoms of what you're going through. And the causes are a terminal diagnosis or life-threatening illness, distress, pain, or medical complications, concerns about finances or how you'll support yourself and your family, fear of how others will perceive you. Now, I didn't read down this whole thing, so I just read a part that said benefits, which just kind of shocked me. It says, anticipatory grief can help people prepare for emotional and physical closure. It can result in fewer grief complications later. How to cope, recognize your emotions, and seek support when you need it. Wow. Well, I would like to share right off the bat that to me, there is no benefit to anticipatory grief, because unless you've got wisdom all around you, there's no way you can prepare yourself for emotional or physical closure. And that's why I really hope that you guys will share any of your thoughts and comments from this video to help Jerry. And what I would like to say is, I think that we've all, or most of us, not the sudden heart attacks, the sudden losses, but most of us have experienced this anticipatory grief. I was just never able to put a label on it before. And so hopefully maybe that will help you a little as well, that you can put a label on what you were going through before your husband passed. And we're all in different stages in this group. And I don't think there's so many new ones anymore. I really think there was a pandemic going on of losing our spouses during and around COVID. I don't know if it was coincidental or not. I know COVID had nothing to do with my husband's passing. He passed in February 2019, so that was just before COVID. But I had a lot of these feelings because my husband had, it was all diet related. Every single bit of it was diet related. And had he changed his diet early on when he was advised to, who knows, he might still be around today. So I watched him dwindle away, not changing his dietary habits, refusing to, and yet struggling to still maintain and be the man that he was. And he knew he was losing control. And he didn't like that, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. And so a lot of it was sugar related. He ate fast food every morning. He ate McDonald's every morning on his way to work when he was still able to drive. And he drank sodas probably 2 or 3 a day. And then, you know, he ate his candy and what have you, and just had a lot of bad choices. And I've learned so much, even since his passing, about dietary habits that can improve our health. I improved my health. My health was good, but I improved it so much more when I started learning more about the dietary habits, which I didn't get into until after he passed. I was just exposed to some new information through my nutrition program, and it really woke me up because I made the changes they suggested, and it showed up in my health and my energy and mental clarity and how I felt and just everything. So that's not the issue today. The issue today is how we felt going through that with our husbands. So I want to say that when I was going through this with my husband, first of all, he he turned his dietary habits turned into full blown um, diabetes. And along with his refusal of things, he also refused to go to the doctor and refused to take any medications. So his diabetes got worse and worse. He's really was blessed he didn't lose any limbs during this whole process. Um, Shortly before he passed, he was at the doctor's office and he had, can't think of the name of it, that rash that you get like on your waist or your under your bra. Can't think of the name of it. And so the doctor was pressing on, different nerve endings and things. And she said, do you feel this? Do you feel this? And he just said, no, I don't feel anything. And he's all great about that. And she said, well, that's really sad because that means all of your nerve endings are entirely dead. And this was just before his passing. So imminent was right around the corner. But on top of that, because of the diabetes, he ended up with dementia, which again had not fallen into the state where, you knew that he had it, but he was still home and communicating and okay with that part of it. He did start to have bouts of anger, which he was never an angry man because he had, he felt like he was trying to hang on and he was fighting, trying to hang on. So when one of us would try to help him and make a change for him that would make life easier, he fought it. And he said, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I can do that. And so we lived with that. And then I did get him to the doctor, which is how I found all this out. And along with that, I found out that he had heart problems and they wanted him to go to a cardiologist. And he refused to do that as well. So I lived through a lot of the feelings that I'm going to repeat here. And I would imagine that several of you lived through the same thing in one way or another. With me, I lived through my own sadness of watching him go downhill, and there was nothing I can do about it. I lived with anger, and the anger was at him because he wouldn't do anything about it. And I begged, I cried, I cajoled, I yelled, I threatened, I pleaded, and he would not do anything. And so I told him, I said then, and this wasn't all at once, this was over time. And so finally one day I just said, okay, have it your way. And I'm just going to love you until you go. I just want to love you. I want you to know you were loved. And that was really hard to do because of the dementia. He would have bouts of anger. And a couple of times I was not in control of my common sense, and I blew up back at him, and I regret that. Every day I regret it. And they say loneliness is a symptom of anticipatory grief. I didn't have the loneliness because he was still there. I could still communicate with him, and so I didn't have that. Anxiety or fear about the future. My goodness, didn't each of us have that? Just the anxiety of how long, when, what can I do? How can I prepare? Fear of the loneliness, and we don't even know what that looks like yet. When we're in the stage of anticipatory grief, we don't even know what the loneliness is going to look like because they're still here. In whatever state they're in, they're still here. And guilt or shame, well, yes, some may feel that you don't do enough. You wish you could do more. You wish you understood more. I did not have the guilt or the shame because I knew what was better and he would not do it. And short of handcuffing him and taking him in, I just had to accept. So it was an acceptance of me not having the strength or the capability to convince him to do otherwise. And so that's that. And then difficulty sleeping or concentrating. I would say I had that. Can you feel how hard this is for me? I didn't sleep well at all. Concentrating, I don't remember, but I'm sure it was probably bad. Loss of appetite. I didn't have a loss of appetite. I had quite the opposite. I ate into my sadness, into my fear, into my anxiety of what the future was going to hold and not being able to do anything about the present. Restlessness and mood swings. Restlessness probably, mood swings only when he would have one. Sometimes I would lash back, which I, again, wish I had not have done. Physical symptoms like raised blood pressure, trembling, heart palpitations. I did not have any of that, and probably because I was on the nutrition from my company, and it kept me stable with all of that. I did have a symptom, though, that I didn't realize, and I will share that with you guys. I had a hysterectomy when I was 50. Excuse me. No water, go away. I had a hysterectomy when I was 50, and at the time, they were just starting to do the vaginal hysterectomies. And because of the seriousness of mine, the doctor insisted that he wanted to cut my stomach and do my hysterectomy that way. So I gave in. I mean, he knows best. And what that left me with, and if any of you have had a hysterectomy through your stomach, you've probably got the same thing, and that's an overlap on the stomach from where this, because when they cut your stomach, they cut all those stitches. And so I had no muscles there, and so I had an overlap. And what I was experiencing the last few years of Gar's life was that I got a rash in that part that lapped over. And I got it a lot. And the doctor gave me some kind of ointment, and it would take it away. But it was really bad because with the stomach overlapping there, it was a lot like diaper rash in the creases of the baby's legs and things, that where it had no air, and it got really moist and smelly if I didn't catch it. And it would last for like a week, even using this ointment on it to clear it up. Well, what I want to share is that in 6 years, and it's been just over 6 years since Gar's passing, I have not had that happen. Coincidence? I don't think so. So I think that's where my nerves and my stress came out, was there. And so I haven't had that anymore. So that was a symptom for me. And so if you guys had any other symptoms or emotions or anything that you went through during the anticipatory grief phase, that you might share with Jerry in the comments, I would appreciate that. And Jerry, what I can tell you is, from what I've shared, you kind of got a little bit of how I went through it, and I thank you for this question, because I never knew until you asked me this and I searched it out, what I was going through. It might have helped me and so many of us had we known that in advance, but we didn't. We just dealt with our emotions and our feelings and shut everything down and tried to take care of the spouse. And so I will tell you, since then, I had a neighbor of my daughter's that was going through that with her husband. And I used to encourage her to find a time when she, if she had, even if she had the money, I said, hire somebody to come in for 4 hours and you get out and go have a date with a girlfriend. Go to lunch, go shopping, just get out and do something for you to relieve that stress for just a little while. And so if you have that capability, I would recommend that. And some other fellow sister widows on here might have some other ideas and suggestions for that as well. The other thing is, I would suggest looking up grief groups that deal with the anticipatory grief. And I would recommend going through the churches for that. They have the best grief groups with the best leaders. And so I would recommend that you look up something like that. And when your husband passes, I encourage you to, either with the same grief group or a different grief group, I encourage you to look up that and join one as soon as they have like a 16-week program, and join it, because the grief that you're going to go through after your husband passes is not the grief that you're going through right now. Because when he passes, there's a void, there's an emptiness, they talk about a loneliness in the anticipatory phase. The loneliness is 100 times worse after their passing. And so we've all dealt with this and we've all moved through it. And it takes time. After the passing of our spouses, it took time. And we all work in different phases. Some it took a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But we still have recalls, we still have some sad moments, but we're able to get on with life. But you can't do it without some sort of help and support. So hopefully you've got friends or family that will be with you and take you out once in a while, and help you deal with things in the house that you have to go through as well. And you have the support of the grief group. And I promise you that you really need the grief group. So if you can find one with what you're going through right now, that would be awesome. And if not, at least please, please, please find one that you can join after your husband passes, because you're going to need it. And there's also a couple of good books out there. One that a friend gave me that I read, and I cannot think, Widow to Widow was the name of it. Widow to Widow. And when I first read it, it was like too much too soon. But I hung on to it and I read it again later on, and it made much more sense and it helped me. And there's a couple of other books out there. Just make sure that if you can, that they're not leading you astray. Make sure they're really good books. Any Christian books are the best to me, of course. And so I hope, Jerry, that this has given you some insight. And know, please, that you are loved by me and every sister widow in here. And I don't know if I added you to our widows page or not. We're not as active in there as we used to be when we were all fresh new widows. But I'd be happy to add you to that group, and you can get some support in there as well. So let me know, private message me on Facebook if I didn't, and let me know that you'd like to be added to that group. And if you have any questions from anything that I've shared, please let me know. either in the comments or Facebook private message. And for everybody else, if this stirred up anything for you, if you have any thoughts or anything you can share with Jerry, please do. And if it stirred up something for you and you need to talk about it, go into the Facebook group and start a conversation in there. Comment below with any thoughts or feelings that you might have from it. And so comment in the group, comment in this video, and or Facebook private message me, because most of you are friends with me on Facebook, and I'm grateful for that. And just know that I love each and every one of you, and I will pop in here from time to time and say hi and catch you up. Today was not a catch-up day. It was a specific day for Jerry. And so thank you all for your love and your friendship over these last 6 years. And just know that if no one else tells you today, remember, I love you. Have an awesome day. Be blessed. Bye for now.